Okay. So I'm going to do just like quick presentation of my own here. Under week 7, I posted the photos, some photos from the hackathon I went to when I was gone on the 4th and 5th. So this was the Gathering of Open Ag Tech hackathon, and it was actually like near Baltimore, in the DC area at the USDA ARS Research Center, and there's a big facility in Beltsville, Maryland. And so our conference or our hackathon was at this thing they called the Log Lodge, which was in the middle of the woods. It was kind of secluded, so it didn't have the best internet for a hackathon, but like they had hotspots and stuff that we could use. But one thing that was really funny is when we were driving out there, we had like a shuttle driver from the hotel, and he heard we were with the USDA, or we were doing something with the USDA, and he started telling us this like local legend that there's like this goat man that runs around Beltsville that they like the USDA experimented on someone, and they, and this was called goat. So he was like, so where am I going? And we're like, just turn at the signs that say goat on them in big letters. I think like we really freaked him out. But he's like, oh my God. But anyway, so that's where it was. And then there's just like a picture of the whole group. There were like a bunch of different people there, everywhere from like sort of startup companies. There was like FarmOS, which is a big data collection source for farming and agriculture. And then there's a lot of, university people there, people from the USDA, people from the tech industry and stuff like that. There was also Microsoft people prowling around both of the days that were there from GitHub, because they're really into ag tech stuff. They're like getting really into that. So I think that's why they were there. And they've recently bought Microsoft as well. So you were talking about GitHub Enterprise. So the U of M has a GitHub Enterprise, but because it lets you like have private repositories and stuff. But since Microsoft bought GitHub, they've been allowing you to like have free private repositories. So they actually made it kind of more open in a way. Anyway, so that's kind of the group that was there. And then this was the project I ended up working on. The phone has nothing to do with it. These were a bunch, someone walked by with like a bunch of these sensors, and at the end there in that black box is a Raspberry Pi that's reading, it has a Python script that's reading all of those sensors. And there's like temperature sensors, GPS, and then these are two CO2 sensors. And I think the accelerometer and the GPS is below it. And basically what they were doing was mounting this to a drone and flying it over fields to like measure CO2 levels at different heights above the fields. And they were sort of reverse engineering what some of the more expensive proprietary drone software will output with this board of neat little gadgets and stuff. So they did have a picture of it kind of mounted on the drone. It's just sort of like strapped on there, but I couldn't find that picture. And so the piece of this that I was working on, like I saw the Raspberry Pis and I just followed them. And then I started working on, like, they didn't have, with the data coming off the drone, these are all like the data points it's reporting, and it's reporting like temperature, CO2 and stuff like that in its last location. They didn't have data that was reporting on if the drone was going up, down, or remaining stable, like basically that bit that the accelerometer inside the drone would report. And I guess the way the CO2 sensors are mounted, they're like really sensitive, and it matters if the drone is going up or going down. The way they're like mounted on the drone kind of can change the output readings of the CO2 sensors. And so in this case I was just using ggplot, so I did write a loop in R that was basically checking if the last point was lower or higher based on altitude, and then if it was within a threshold of like only 3 meters difference, it would say it would output that it was stable. So these colors are just whether it's going up or down. Up is obviously blue, and then green is stable and red is down. And then like the goal was to, I'm planning on porting this to Python, the loop into Python, because it's very translatable to Python so that they can run it on their Raspberry Pi. But we just did it in R to get this nice visualization. And then another cool thing that someone else in my team was working on, they were a landscape architect that did all of this 3D modeling stuff. And so here they were modeling in 3D space the drone's flight. So that's actually the flight of the drone with all of its location points, or each of those little dots there. And they were using Rhino, which is for 3D modeling, and I think it's proprietary. But the thing I found interesting was they kept saying that they weren't a programmer, but this thing on the right here is what they were using with Rhino, and it's actually a visual programming language called Grasshopper that you can use within Rhino, and I thought that was really interesting. So that's basically what we worked on. It was only 2 days, and our team didn't really get formed until toward the end of the second day, so that's just kind of what we got done in a day. But I just wanted to share with you guys what we were working on. There was a lot of our people there. People are super into Deployer, like really into our packages and stuff. And I thought I had another picture in here of someone presenting on a map that they did with some of the stuff we're doing today, Leaflet. So I might have to throw that up there later. But
so then rather than writing like code blocks, they're using this Rhino to create their code.
yeah, it's really interesting. So they would like see these like objects in here. Each each one of them, like for example, like the CSV file, like you could put it in there, it would like show up as an object, and then you could pull different attributes out of it, and they would show up as objects that you could map to each other. And so I would recommend looking up Grasshopper if you're interested, because it's so, like, visual programming languages are kind of beyond me. Like, I've not really worked with one, but they're really cool. Yeah. And they also used they used some QGIS too. It's not in this picture, but they had a digital elevation model that they kind of like mapped the flight path above it, and they used QGIS for that, and they were able to put the DEM into this Rhino software as well. So yeah, it's pretty neat. I don't know, do you guys still work with AutoCAD or anything like that for any of the classes? Because we did a little bit of 3D modeling when I was here, but not too much. So yeah, if you're interested in 3D modeling, elevation stuff, I would look into that. Okay, so let's see if we're on track here. We're a little bit behind, but I was going to bring up a little bit of review from some previous materials because we've covered a lot of things in the last couple weeks, and also because let's pull it up here. Actually, I might have it in a link. Hang on, you're gonna see like, oh, there it is. Maybe. So I'm in our advanced programming and analysis class where we use R, and I recently got this assignment that was, it's in the School of Public Health at the U of M, and I got this assignment to be working with CDC data, and I just had to like bring this up because you're supposed to get this CSV from the CDC website, and I wonder if I still, no, I don't think I still have the CDC website up, but I pulled it into R. And I think it was supposed to be that you could put in the URL to the CSV, which you can put the URL into, let me zoom in here. You can put URLs to an online CSV directly into read.csv and stuff. But for whatever reason, the CDC's website link was broken, so I just had to download it and put it in. Oh, and also, I'm also checking, one of the parts of the assignment was to look at the execution time of the different read-in formats for whatever reason. And so some people were talking about data table in their presentations, and so data table is one of them here with this fread thing. It's supposed to be one of the fastest, and it did only take like a second to read in the data. But the normal read CSV one that we've been working with that reads in Tibbles was pretty fast too. So you just see like I have 8 seconds, 5 seconds. That varies a little bit because I read this in earlier and it was around that. But anyway, so let's see what I named this. I just want to show you what I'm talking about here. So I'll do the one where I read in the Tibble. And this has like a bunch of reports of like, you know, different diseases and like everything from like arthritis and stuff like that, and their locations as well. So there is a geolocation, let's see, yeah, geolocation one, and then I saw this. It's a string, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this gonna be? And so I just looked at geolocation. And look at that. I couldn't make this up. It's like the same thing we did for assignment 2. And this, I see this all the time. People will put in the lat long information just like this in one column. And then you guys kind of know what comes next. So I guess I've already done this. So you're not doing my assignment or anything. I was doing this while he was talking in class just to clean this up. The goal is actually to make an interactive web application with this assignment. So I don't even think he thought we were going to have to do data cleaning as part of it. But I just wanted to, you know, kind of ask you guys what you thought first steps would be for this, like which packages I might need and stuff like that. So if I wanted to get this into 2 columns with lat and long data, what package from the tidyverse would you be looking at then? I've got it installed. This one? So this one was the one that had separate in it. Do you guys remember separate? Yeah. So Tidier has separate. And so that was, let's see, that was my first step. Separate, and then if you remember, it takes the data frame, the column that you want to separate, which was geolocation, and then a string of the 2 names that you wanted for the new columns. And the separator was a comma, right? Because that one was just easy to do because there's a comma in there. And then, let's see. So then I did that. And it takes like a second because it's a big data frame. And so now it should have lat in there. See that? But what do I have that I need to get rid of? Yep. It's like the exact same thing. So this is where stringer comes in. And I'm also using some mutate there. Of course, you know, you could have done sapply or something else, or just vector assignment, but I'm using supplier because I figured why not? I'm using all the other tidyverse things. And so it looks exactly like the assignment 2. And then looks like I added on a mutate as well for the longitude. Yeah. So we can look at longitude. Looking better, but do you see if there's still a problem in there? What's wrong with it still? Still a string, yep. So I just did as dot numeric for both of them. And then it was clean. I don't know why I did like 2 separate lines for that. It probably could have been shorter, but I don't know. He was talking and I was like trying to type. So geo clean. There we go. Yeah, so much better. And then I was able to go ahead and map it, and I was using Leaflet here, which is going to be part of our next demonstration. Is we're going to do some stuff with Leaflet. I'm not going to run this one because I didn't realize how big the data set was until I started throwing it onto a map, and I didn't subset enough, and it took like a minute and almost crashed my R session. So check how big things that you're mapping are before you start trying to map. So
I had a question about that.
Yeah.
I think it was like our third assignment, and then for the final project, at least for the third assignment, like that data set of the invasive species was pretty big.
Yes. Yeah.
So even if we were to subset, say we're trying to make like an R&D file.
Yep.
We would still have to read in the entirety of the data set within the R&D if we're going to just display like one species location, right?
Yes. However, what Elorm was saying, I was also realizing while I was grading all of these, and I was like waiting for it to like 10 minutes to like load a shapefile. You could definitely make your subset and then write it to a new shapefile with the right OGR. Yep. And I was like, oh, I wish I'd showed him that, and then made it a requirement. That's what I would recommend.
So you're just creating a new file with the subset.
Yep. Yep. It'll just write a subset shapefile, similar to if you were to do it with select in ArcGIS or something. But yeah. Yep. And I don't think, from what I've seen working with the Emerald Ash Borer stuff, it doesn't seem to be as hairy. But yeah, you could still definitely, if you wanted to subset it and write it out as a shapefile, use that right OGR. It's in RGDAL, I think. But yeah, this one's pretty big too, and I might do that as well with this assignment. But I just thought it was like funny because I said that sometimes happens with that long data, and then I got this assignment and I was like, oh, here it is. But it happens a lot. I don't know why it gets written in that way. It may come off of APIs that way a lot, or like Google APIs or something, but there's always parentheses around a string of lat long data. So yeah, it can get a little obnoxious, but okay, so I will be heading into a break really soon, but I'm just gonna start talking about some Leaflet stuff so that during the break you guys can be like playing around with it and having fun with it, because you're gonna want to play around with it. It's really fun. So all right, so as promised, we're going to do Leaflet today, but also I've listed in the agenda some of the other packages we'll be working on, all mapping related, so that should be fun. But I'm also going to add dplyr as well. So I'm going to be using the pipe. It may come with Leaflet, I'm not sure, but you definitely use the pipe with Leaflet. And I'm going to do, and of course I already have these installed because I ran through this, but if you want to install those, go ahead now within, packages install. Leaflet. And someone mentioned that, so have you guys worked with Leaflet before? If you took internet mapping, that's when you used it? Okay, cool. And it was with JavaScript? Okay, so Leaflet was originally a JavaScript package. It still is. It's still a JavaScript package. So a lot of the things you'll see when you search for it will be in JavaScript and stuff. But it's been written for R as well, and it's really nice in R. In fact, I really like working with it in R, and I've worked with it in JavaScript too. So it pretty much has the majority of the functionality that you are used to it having in JavaScript. And I'll go ahead and just put in the other packages before I forget that we're going to be working with. We're going to use the raster package, which has some APIs for getting raster data and doing raster analysis stuff. And then we're going to do Dismo, which is a distribution modeling, species distribution modeling package, and also has some cool APIs in it. And then finally we'll do RGOS towards the end, which has some, I think it installs SP, and it has some geospatial analysis stuff like intersect and union and some familiar words in there from the ArcGIS suite. So I'll just go ahead and run those. And you saw for a second I said loading required package SP, so SP is in there as well. Okay, so let's just make our first leaflet map, and it's really cool how easy this is. So I'm just calling leaflets, kind of like ggplot, you just call it and you create like a blank interactive map here. But I add on to it with pipes. So it's like, you know, pipes, it's taking in this thing on the left, this interactive map that's assigned to the variable m, and it's going to put whatever layers that you tell it to on the right or tiles onto it. So it's really handy for creating nice base maps. It has a lot of providers of base maps that you can interface to in R, which is what's so fun about it. So I'm just going to set the view though. So it's going to set the extent of the map. And it takes long. So I'm going to do something, oops, I'm going to like do the Minneapolis area. I wish I was cool and had it memorized what our lat long was, but I'm not. I have to write it down.
You didn't put an equal sign with the long.
Thank you.
Okay.
Got it. And you can define a zoom, which you'll want to, like, normally it's around 11 or 12. But you can like play with that a little bit to see how it changes the extent. And so I've set the zoom, and then I'm going to add another element to the map, so another pipe, and I'm going to put on just, let's see, I'm gonna, oh wait. Actually, oops. Actually, I'm just going to add with a pipe onto M, add tiles. And I'm just going to add the standard tiles in Leaflet. So it's going to, it actually runs like OpenStreetMap, I think. So it's like the base OpenStreetMap. There we go. So instantly you get the OpenStreetMap base layer with it centered on Minneapolis on that lat long data I gave it. And you can change the zoom a bit. So if we change it to go down, it's always like the opposite of what I expect, I think. Yeah, that zooms it out. And then like 13 would zoom it in. Yeah, it's kind of like the opposite of what you would think, but. So that's just a basic map in Leaflet, and we've already got it. And you can add more elements onto it. But I just wanted to show some of the different base map providers that they have because they're really cool. So the package Leaflet is going to like basically provides an interface to these providers. So your RStudio session will start to like recognize what provider you're talking about. You'll see it try to autocomplete for me, and it will try to fill it in with different base maps that are in there that it's recognizing. So if I do add provider is the function. Add provider tiles, and then I say provider is it capital Stamen toner? I think that's the one. So Stamen Map's a popular base map provider. Oh wait, providers, that's it. That's why it wasn't recognizing it. Is it showing up? Interesting. I've got this already up, so maybe I will run that. Oh, I must have had a typo. Did I typo?
Your toner might be capitalized.
Oh, dang. I'm glad I did this ahead of time, because... Cool. Okay. So the toner one is like this black and white newsprinty one, which is kind of interesting. And I think, is it autofilling for you guys? Like if you do like stamen? Yeah. Terrain. I don't know what that one is. There we go. So it's starting to like auto, because it has an interface to these providers built in, so it's starting to like auto complete what stamen maps you have provided to you. So I think that's pretty neat. I don't know what that one is. Ooh, there's a relief map. Cool. So it's got a little bit of a DEM in the background. So yeah, just showing you a few of those. And I also want to point out, has anyone ever used Cartodb? It's another like mapping provider, base map provider. But I've also used it, I bring it up because I've also used it with Python as well. So they work with a lot of different languages. Add provider tiles again. Providers, Cartodb. And there it's auto. Let's do the positron's kind of like their standard one. And they've just got like these nice, like, oh, it's not showing up very well here, but hopefully you're running it. They've got kind of these nice, like, minimalist maps. It doesn't show up well here, but this one has like a very light coloration to it. And then I also like the dark matter one. Yeah. So if you're like doing, man, it shows up horribly on this projector, but
That one's cool.
yeah, especially if you're doing some like point data, or maybe you're trying to like, you have like kind of bright colors, or maybe those crime maps with like those heat maps. If you have like bright data over, or colors over a map, it's a really good backdrop for those analyses. Okay, and then just like one more that I want to point out, and then I'll like actually put some stuff on there. Oh wait, sorry, two more, and then I'll put some stuff on there. Adding provider tiles again. There's an Esri one. Esri, the Nat Geo world map's one of my favorite ones. So Esri is a provider of base maps, and Leaflet has an interface to that too. I love that one. Oh, and also notice that it's zoomable. So that's the thing about Leaflet maps, is they're interactive. If you remember from internet mapping, they're interactive, they're zoomable. If you render this in your R Markdown, which we'll probably get to at the end, it would be zoomable in your R Markdown. So it's awesome. And also, like, if you run into any snags here, don't worry, I'm going to be posting, like, I already have this written up and everything, and I'll be posting it on the examples on GitHub and stuff. And then you can also get API keys for other custom base maps and stuff, which I went ahead and grabbed an API key from this Thunder Forest that I saw listed as one of the providers that, they have some providers that are already like baked in there, but some of them you have to like go register and get API keys for custom maps and stuff. So I did that for this Thunder Forest one, and I'll pull up their website and just show you like how I registered, because they have like a free version. So I'm just going to add to my map. Hopefully this will work. It was providers, Thunder Forest. Let's see, I did. Transport. And then I set this options. I think that's where, yes, options equals. Hang on a second, I have to remind myself how I did this. provider tile options. There we go. And then you put the API key in there. So I just did, oh, this is starting to get, so I'll show you online. I think I have it here. Here we go. So I went ahead to the Thunder Forest website and just registered myself for like a free subscription because they provide certain maps for free, like not a lot of them. And then this is my API key that they gave me as soon as I got registered. So I just copy that guy in there. And then I have access to their custom maps. Oh, I think I have to put it in as a string. Yeah. Whoops. Otherwise it recognizes the number. Okay. Hopefully I didn't make any mistakes there. Okay, so that's one of their maps. They had one that was like, yes, that's the one. That one is funny. You want to see what that one looks like? Spinal map. Like, because these are just, there's some people that just like, this is their hobby. They make base maps, and I think it's awesome. It's not showing up here, but like, can you see the text for Minneapolis? It's like all in like, oh man, it's all in like,
It's supposed to be like lines.
yeah, it's,
much better on that.
yeah, if you get registered for it, it's like, it's free for this subscription, and it's really funny. The river is flames, and then, I mean, you'll see, people on the Integrity recording will be able to see it, but like the text is all like metal. It's just bizarre. I love that that's provided as one of the few maps they give you too. Like, so yeah, and you can also go to Mapbox if you've ever used Mapbox before. They have API keys with links to Leaflet. And I should probably mention too, because I just sort of went right into this. I think I am using, oops, that's for later. Which tutorial am I using? Here, I'm going to go back to our, here we go. So I have posted a bunch of links, and a lot of them that I used for making this tutorial right now. And it was the Leaflet for R1 that I have there under week 7. And here they're using earthquake data. I think I got us some, just some other points and stuff to work with. But basically, everything that I'm showing you, and they have, I think there was a list of different providers in here as well as one of the links. Oh, I know, it's under base maps. Yes, Leaflet providers plugin. So you can kind of take a look at how they do the add providers function and stuff. They've got OpenStreetMap in there. Where was the one? Oh, and there's a complete list of it here, I think. Oh, these are showing some examples. But yeah, somewhere in there I found Thunder Forest. Can't remember where. But yeah, so I have all of these tutorials under, yes, under that More Mapping in R tutorials link. So you can, there's more that I'm going to show you today. There's just like so much out there, but I'm just going to do some examples with some sort of custom information for Minneapolis. And so the base maps are fine and everything, but we probably want to add some information, like some layers to it. So can you guys see this okay? Am I zoomed enough? Okay. All right, so, oh, before we do that, I just want to like point out one more thing that was on that tutorial. Where was it? I just saw it a second ago. Eee. Hang on. Oh, I'm forgetting where it is. Base maps? Yeah, there it was. I saw this in there. I've never seen this before. There's this web map service that provides like an interface like the National Weather Service and like the weather that's going on right now. So it's like an API for getting that weather data, and it's one of their tile providers. And so I was like, really? And so I just like copied that and I put it in, you know, and it should work here, and it's current. That's current. It's really cool. I was thinking like this would be super useful for like if you were doing, I don't know, like some crop data stuff or like when to spray crops, something like that. And then like if you had some sort of like web app for that, you could have the weather right in there. Super nice. I think it's centered on Iowa because this is apparently like this service is coming out of Iowa. Yeah, they set the view to like just south of us here. So yeah, that one's really neat. So I could play with their provider tiles all day long. But let's actually add some data, I think. Let's see here. Okay, so I just decided like to keep it simple. I would just now add a marker to the map that was just where we are right now, St. Mary's. Oops, what was I gonna do? So I'm just mutating that map that I was already working on. Add provider tiles. I'm gonna add one of those. I'll just pick one here. What was the Esri one? That one's my favorite. Esri. Oh, there's a lot. There it is. So that's the tiles I want. And let's see. And then I have to remember. Let's see. I think I just go ahead and add markers. Yes, add markers for adding like point data, adding a marker. And then you can just specify the lat. You could pass in, we'll do this in a bit, you can pass in a data frame with lat long location and do like that data frame $lat, you know. But for now, I'm just going to do where we're at right now, or at least like I grabbed the location of the parking lot across the street here at St. Mary's. So it's 44, oops. Hopefully I don't type this in wrong. Okay, there's our lat long. So we should add that to the map. And oops, I think I gotta zoom out because we're like not even in there. There it is. Should probably set the zoom to something else. But so that's roughly where we are. And then we can add on like I think it's add pop-up. Yeah. Add pop-ups. I'm trying to remember the syntax for it. Oh wait, I think I actually want to add that in the marker. My bad. Okay, yeah, pop-up equals. I could just put for that marker, St. Mary's. There we go. I'm going off script a little bit here. And now it's clickable, and it tells you what you put in that pop-up. Okay, and I just want to show you another thing here. which is that like those markers, I mean, the teardrop shape, like everyone tends to recognize those as markers nowadays, but maybe you want something custom, like maybe it's a transport station or ferry location or like that sort of thing. So you might want to add like a custom icon. So I just want to show an example of doing that. And so I decided, I don't know why, but I decided to put a tree where St. Mary's was, or at least in the parking lot across the street from St. Mary's. So I'm just going to do tree, I'm going to call it tree icon. And so you can like define your own icons within Leaflet. And the icons function is going to take the icon URL. And so this is just going to be the direct link to the image that you want to use. And like I would recommend using a transparent image so it shows up nice on the map, but technically you don't have to. And you might have seen it while I was going through here. Tree icon. There it was. So I just searched for transparent tree icons, and then I went to view file and got this tree icon here. You could make it anything, but and then you just put it in. Oh, I think it just directly equals the string of that icon in there. That was longer than I intended. And I'm also going to set like icon width and stuff. And I just had to play around with this to get it to look semi-decent. I don't know exactly. Like maybe it's in pixels. I'm not quite sure. Is it height? Yeah, icon height. I think 6. And then I'm also going to define the anchor. And this is, the anchor is basically like where, like for the marker, it's where that teardrop shape comes to a point there. It seems like for an image, it does like by default, like the left corner of the image. So it's basically where is that lat long specifically going to align with the image. So I don't know why, but it's, oh yeah, so it's the anchor X and Y coordinates. So those coordinates that we gave it for the lat long. So anchor X is going to be, and again, I just had to like to play around with this. I don't know. It might be like the place in the image where it decides to put the anchor. It may not be too important either, I'm not sure. But and then close. Oops, that goes to that. Okay. So now we should have a tree icon there. Did I spell it wrong? Oh my. Let's see. I should have it over here though, so all is not lost.
Oh yeah, you need to call it?
It's saying that unexpected comma. That's weird. Do I have an do I? I don't see an unexpected. Oh. Yeah, it's probably at the end of here. I think I need a comma, right? Let's see. We'll see. Maybe that's it. Yeah, that was it. Okay. Yay. Okay, so now it's in there. And then I'm going to add it to this map we made and do icon equals tree icon. I think that's all I need. I gotta change that zoom. There it is. A little smushed. I could probably play around a little bit with the width and stuff, but so yeah, like, is it super important analysis wise? Probably not. But I just started having like images of like, for my my maps of my species that I study, putting beetles across Europe and stuff like that. I don't know. I thought in case someone wanted to use it, it might be fun. And you guys are working with tree data, so I don't know. And we'll take a break in a second if you want to troubleshoot stuff. Because I'm kind of just like throwing this stuff up there. But yes, so I think we're going to work with Dismo next. But do you guys want like a quick break just to like play around with stuff, get a drink of water? I need a drink of water. So we might do a quick break here, but because we're going to go into like some more API stuff next, not just space maps.